Hello, everyone. Welcome to In Time. My name is Nicholas Lamar Suter. Shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shots were fired at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. Donald Trump was at the club at the time. We are getting conflicting stories of what happened. We're going to talk about the 2 or 3 versions that we currently have. CNN is reporting that there was exchange between Secret Service and a suspect, and that the suspect dropped an AK-47, and that the suspect was in fact killed. They are citing multiple sources that they have spoken to, saying that the Secret Service engaged in a firefight with a suspect. Several other sources, including, the New York Times, I believe, is reporting that to the best of their understanding, there was actually 2 separate individuals shooting at each other on the golf course, and that Trump was never involved. Trump was not an intended target, and the Secret Service did not engage. So we have at this point 2 separate stories. We also hear that a suspect is in custody. So which version you wish to believe, I suppose. According to Trump's communications director, quote, President Trump is safe following gunshots in his vicinity. That is all that has been confirmed, to the best of our knowledge, by the campaign, except, Terry Barbara, who is a spokeswoman for Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, has said, quote, the intent right now is unknown. The U.S. Secret Service has confirmed that it is investigating a, quote, protective incident involving former President Donald Trump, and that they are working with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. So we have 2 versions, and we honestly don't know which is true. One in which a man armed with an AK-47 was approaching the former president. A Secret Service noticed the man, opened fire, and engaged. There was an exchange of fire between that one man and several Secret Servicemen, and the man was killed. And that is what we're getting from CNN. New York Times has not actually offered, that I can tell, a counter version, but there are other versions floating around, usually reliable sources on Twitter, saying that in fact it was an altercation between 2 people. Hold on, stand by. That it was an altercation between 2 people, and Trump was not in any way whatsoever involved, and that there was a suspect in custody. We are unable to confirm either of these versions at this time. All we can confirm is that there were multiple shots fired at the golf course, and that the president was in fact in the vicinity, and that has triggered a protective action by the Secret Service, and that obviously the sheriff's office is involved. Multiple sources do seem to concur that there was an AK-47 involved, but again, I'm not even the ones that disagree on what happened all seem to agree on the AK-47, but at this point, I'm not willing to say that that's confirmed yet, because so much is so. So those are the 2 versions, and I do apologize. We have a policy on, as of when we prepared this show, we only had the first version. The second version has come out. If we had known that when we were preparing the show, we would have listed this as shots fired in the vicinity of the president, because that's all we could confirm. When we wrote this, it was shots fired at him, CNN is still reporting it that way. Well, let me rephrase that. CNN is reporting that the suspect was approaching him with an AK-47 and was killed by Secret Service. As of this moment, we cannot confirm that version, but that version is still considered, it's still the version that CNN is using. So what I'd like to do is speak to both of the people we have on. I will check with the live chat. We are getting updates, and we are currently live on Twitter trying to find any way to consolidate these two stories. But as of this moment, those are the stories we have. Thank you for joining us, 𝐒𝐨𝐿𝐼𝐻 and Commander McMillan. Commander McMillan, let me start with you. What are your thoughts? Oh, all right. Sorry, I am unable to hear you, and that's obviously going to be my fault. 𝐒𝐨𝐿𝐼𝐻, were you able to hear him?
No.
No. Oh, that may not have been my fault then. Okay, 𝐒𝐨𝐿𝐼𝐻, well, let me ask you, what are your thoughts on the situation?
I think that either of those scenarios is plausible, and until we can get more information, we're gonna have no idea. I mean, we're talking about Florida, so.
They said there was a couple of different. They said the CNN articles actually did not say an AK-47. They said a long gun. What's a long gun?
Any rifle.
Okay.
So
an AK-47
a rifle.
An AK-47 would qualify as a long gun then.
Correct.
All right.
So would a bolt action Springfield 1903. So. For that matter, a Shiloh Sharps 1849 would qualify as a long gun. Heck, even a long gun could be referred to as a 1700s musket. So long gun is just, it's a rifle or shotgun of some sort.
I just wanted to see if it was conflicting with or concordant with the AK-47 views. I mean, an AK-47 is an unusual gun to find in the U.S. I mean, you can get them here, but it's an unusual.
They're not that unusual. There's a lot of them. It's probably the second most common semi-automatic rifle in the United States, behind the AR-15.
Oh, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I am getting some signal from Lance, so I suspect we're getting audio from him. Lance, how are you? No, it's not.
He has a sore throat. It's just not coming through quite right. Either that, or he's taken some medication that makes him think that he's speaking to us, when in reality it's just going on in his head. That's a possibility.
It does appear as if here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reconnect him, and we will just see if that gets his audio going. I suspect it's not going to help, because if you can't hear him, then that means that his audio is not even getting into the room. So I'm gonna blame his side. Commander, one more time, sound check if you can. Nope. Sorry, nothing. I do think it's going to be on your side. What we're gonna, I think one thing that was observed last time this happened was basically everybody saying, please let the guy not be from my party, my ideology, my religion, or race. Just whatever it is, nobody wants this guy to be that. And again, we don't know if it was one guy. The reports that there's somebody in custody and the reports that there's somebody dead does suggest to me that it was two guys engaging each other, as opposed to, but again, there's a report that Secret Service engaged. Now, if two guys are shooting at each other anywhere near the President of the United States, my assumption is, and Commander, I assume you would nod your head in very loud agreement with this, which is that the Secret Service would engage both of them. Yeah. So, at this point,
normalcy bias would lead us to believe that it would be, in fact, an altercation between two other people, not directly involving the president. However, being in the vicinity of the former president, Secret Service had better be involved. But again, that's normalcy bias that would lead us to conclude that.
Let's assume for a second that this is, in fact, a second assassination attempt, which is possible. We do not know yet. That is definitely the implication from CNN. That is being contested by, from what I can tell, mostly Twitter sources. We've used Twitter sources in the past. We tend to know which ones are reliable or not. Having said that, they're Twitter sources. So let's assume that this is a second attempt. What does that tell us? I mean, one attempt in an entire term is usually considered a lot, and this would be a second in a very short period of time.
The first thing that would jump to my mind about that, if it was indeed an assassination attempt, this is pure speculation, it leads me to believe that the rhetoric is beginning to be taken more seriously. I hear constantly how Donald Trump is a threat to the republic. He wants to be a dictator on day one. It will be the end of the United States as we know it if he's elected. There will be no more elections. And I have a hard time believing most of the people who espouse that rhetoric actually believe it, because if you really did believe that, you have a situation of, say, you could go back in time to 1930s Germany, knowing what Hitler is going to do. I mean, you'd almost have a moral obligation to stop the person at all costs. So if the rhetoric is starting to become more believed, deeply believed, eventually you're going to come across somebody who has the will to act upon it and say, no, this is a moral good and this is something that must be done and we must stop him no matter the methods used, because the alternative is always going to be worse. So that would be my first thoughts about the whole thing.
All right, let me add a couple things. So first of all, we're talking about assassination attempts. No, I mean, by the definition of what Secret Service calls an assassination attempt, there is between 300 and 400 assassination attempts on the president's life every single year, based on what they define it as. But they define it broadly enough that if they run down leads, they check everything out, and then if they catch you, with it's marked on your calendar, 6 weeks from now, I'm going to get him, and you've been putting all this stuff together. Boom, they catch you. That's an assassination attempt. It's just been caught in the very, very early stages, months before anybody even tried to pull a trigger. When you take all of those into account, there's between 300 and 400 assassination attempts on a president in any given presidency. That is not a definition of assassination attempt that is productive, I think, for this. This is the second assassination attempt that I think was credible in any way, if indeed that is what it is. Fox News has come out and officially confirmed that this was an assassination attempt, and a second one. That suggests very strongly to me that it was not an assassination attempt. I've got sound with Commander McMillan. How are you, sir? Look, that's all right. No worries. I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Titan. The fact that Fox News is calling it an assassination attempt, that was a joke. That doesn't
surprise me.
That does not surprise me. Of course, they say that. We do have a reasonably reliable source.
The victim card has become very normal, commonplace for the Trump campaign. Or whatever they're talking about, it's the press doesn't like this, so they're twisting the truth and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there is a chance, I suspect, that this was, I don't know, two golfers who had an argument and one decided to take out the other. Who knows? But I think all things being equal, yeah, it's probably somebody who was trying to conduct an assassination.
So one of the things that we're doing is we are collecting, and this is what we do during a situation like this, is we try to collect all of this on our Discord. Two more people have claimed that this wasn't an exchange, a private exchange between two individuals. One of those accounts has since been deleted. They literally made the claim, and the account was deleted. Whether it was deleted by Twitter or by them, we don't know. As of this moment. Yeah, okay, so According to a tweet from Fox News, Donald Trump had survived a second assassination attempt. Associated Press is confirming that the Secret Service opened fire after seeing a second person with a firearm. So it may be that erring on the side of caution. I mean, listen, just FYI, pro tip for anyone who's listening. It's okay. It's not. I don't want to say this and be clipped, but for now, 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐜𝐬 is going to go back and clip the show no matter what I say. It's okay if you want to exercise your Second Amendment rights and have a firearm. It is highly inadvisable to do that anywhere near a sitting or former president of the United States for any reason, unless you've been pre-authorized to do so. According to the Associated Press, a man with an AK-style rifle entered the perimeter of the golf course, Donald Trump's West Palm Beach golf course, while the president was playing golf. The Secret Service immediately opened fire and evacuated the president. The person dropped the firearm and fled into an SUV, which has since been apprehended. An AK-style firearm was recovered near the scene of the golf course. No injuries are reported. So that's the Associated Press, which is the strongest, in my view, of easily over CNN. And if you choose to consider Fox News, my condolences, but also certainly over Fox. So it looks like, according to the Associated Press, fire was not exchanged, in as much as, I mean, there were multiple shots, but it was all from the Secret Service towards this man. And as soon as he breached the perimeter with the rifle, he was fired at, and he has fled. We do not know.
I think we need to consider two things here.
Yes.
First, how big is the perimeter we're talking about? My bet is that it covers the entire country club complex. So the perimeter is going to be huge in this case. Secondly, you have to have the guy intending to shoot at Trump for this to be an assassination attempt. Nobody knows what the motive here was. I'm not saying it couldn't have been. I'm not saying it was, some guy arguing that somebody else misscored his last round of golf here or whatever. I'm just saying, until we get that confirmation, it's not an attempt on him, but it suits the political needs of his movement for it to be portrayed as such. And that, I think, you need to take everything into.
Well, I haven't heard any reporting yet, even from Associated Press, that would be mutually exclusive to one story or the other. You don't generally walk around with an rifle on your person. And if there was an altercation between people, and let's say one person had a pistol on them, a concealed carry pistol, Florida is a constitutional carry state. You can carry your pistol without a permit. And there was an altercation between them. One person, say, brandishes that pistol. The other guy goes, "Oh, really? We are talking about Florida man here." Went back to his truck and then tried to re-enter the golf course with his rifle to confront said person. So there's very plausible explanations in either way, and we haven't gotten any reporting that would be exclusive to one or the other.
All right. The BBC is citing CBS, is saying that they do now have a suspect in custody. They have confirmed that it is the man who had the AK-style rifle. The weapon, again, has also been recovered. They do not yet have a motive. I suspect we'll be hearing one reasonably soon. If the suspect is in custody, usually the first question.
She just saw an article or a statement on one of the other big networks that the Secret Service released a statement about this saying that the individual with the AK was in no way associated directly with the president. Interpret that how you want, but
yeah, that's a tough.
They made a point of saying this is a high crime area. So it may have been somebody wandering on the golf course.
Okay, yeah. It may be a high crime area if this guy was just intending on robbing a golf course. Yeah, if it turns out that this guy was just intending on robbing a golf course, I swear to God, we are going to be dining on memes for a year.
Or,
dear Lord,
just wanted to get to the other side of the golf course to rob the convenience store over there, and it was just a shortcut through the golf course, not even realizing, that Secret Service would be there. What a unfortunate turn of events for that criminal.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, dear Lord. Well, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. And I think I'd like to get, I'd asked a few questions, but I don't necessarily remember them. So if there was anything that we missed earlier and you want to opine on, Commander, I would appreciate that we discussed earlier while you were muted. But I do want to ask this question. Jesus, and just doing the preamble that, in case something was forgotten, I forgot where I was going. Yes. Okay. Let's talk protection for a second. We have heard it said many times that basically it's impossible to completely protect the target. What you can do is you can make it so that anybody who wants to kill them, basically they're going to have to sacrifice their life to do it. But if they're willing to cross that bar, and if they're smart enough, and if they work hard enough, they'll succeed at doing it. Once this guy was getting shot at, the first thing he did was drop his gun and run. And if he had wanted to assassinate the president, would he have used an AK-style rifle? So, given that, what are your thoughts on the information we know so far?
If it was me, that would not be the weapon of choice. The AK series weapons are not known for accuracy. They're known for reliability. If you're intending to take a long-range shot, honestly, a scoped hunting rifle would probably be a better choice for this. But then, would Lee Harvey Oswald have wanted to choose the Italian World War II era rifle that he chose? It wasn't a very good rifle, but it worked. So it was what the tool at hand happened to be.
So if this was an assassination attempt, do you both agree then that it was likely somebody who probably was not taking it extraordinarily seriously? I mean, it's serious either way, but I think you understand what I'm saying. It's not someone who's willing to put their life on the line. It's probably somebody. It's not. I mean, the guy who fired at the rally knew he was not coming out of that alive. He knew he was, and he took that very seriously. He planned. He knew what it was going to take. If this was an assassination attempt, this guy, it looks like he was just like, I'm going to do the world a favor, and he grabbed his weapon and went one day and just decided to do it or something like that. Would that sound fair?
That's certainly plausible. The one thing I would note is that after the first attempt, the Secret Service is going to be, I won't say on high alert, but they're certainly exceptionally sensitive to something like this happening to Trump, because it was such a huge, colossal embarrassment after the first one. Completely, they botched the protection service. So I'm not saying they overreacted, but it could be that this was something that was literally on the opposite side of the golf course, and Trump was never in sight, and it was just somebody who entered that perimeter of safety that's around the place, and that caused the reaction. And then, the press, as they do, jumped on top out of the cage. I think at this point we really don't know. It's going to take a little while before more information comes out. I think when we find out more about who the individual is, what the background is, it's very political statements made by the guy or something like that, yeah, then we kind of get the guinea on knowing what happened. Otherwise, this will just remain. Who knows?
So, let's see. Okay, I just wanted to. All right, so let me do a quick rundown just for those of you who are just joining us now. When we got the story that we had was a man approached Donald Trump with an AK-47. That Secret Service spotted him, engaged him, and killed him. That was the story we had when we started preparing the show. By the time we were live, 2 separate versions had developed. We still had that first story, and then we had a second version, which was that 2 men completely unrelated to Trump, maybe having no idea they were even on his particular golf course, started engaging each other. Finally, we have coalesced around a third story, which it appears that a person, for unknown reasons, did enter the perimeter of the golf course and had an AK-47, was spotted by Secret Service, who engaged. They fired multiple shots. He dropped the weapon and fled in an SUV. The weapon has been recovered, and the suspect has been captured. At this point, it seems to me that we have 2 possibilities. One, that this was an assassination attempt, and that before he could get close, he was discovered. 2, it was a person who maybe was completely ignorant of the fact that the president was even there and had something else in mind, including robbery or whatever. Who knows? But it seems to me that those are now the 2 possibilities that we are looking at. Fox News is declaring this a full-on assassination attempt. At this point, we don't have any evidence that we feel can confirm that, and some evidence that makes it look like possibly it was not. If it was a rather clumsy one, but clumsy attempts do happen. So the Secret Service is going to give an update. They're going to give us an update with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. So let me see if I can find that. They're going to do a press conference, and we will play that for you if we can get it. I still, if this just was some guy, some second-rate criminal who's sitting there going like, oh, I'm going to rob a convenience store, and just happen to stumble upon the president's protection detail.
Even more tragically, somebody was just taking their rifle and was headed home, and just happened to take a shortcut across the golf course, not realizing that he was going to be confronted by federal agents.
As improbable as that is, that's just as likely as any of the other scenarios we have right now.
Well, and dealing
Florida's
in
open carry, right?
Speculation. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It used to be open carry. It used to be open carry while hunting or fishing. You could open carry a rifle. But recently they've passed a few laws. Florida's now a constitutional carry state. You don't need any permits or anything, essentially permission for the government to carry your firearm with you. So yeah, it could be somebody was just taking it home. It could be, and again, all speculation. Could have been a criminal off someplace to do some nefarious thing and accidentally ran into it. It could be, somebody who legitimately decided they were going to try and take out the president. I mean, FIBSA is a thing, and if you don't have a particularly large amount of training, you have no idea how you're going to react. I guess FIBSA, fudge, I'm being shot at, is a real reaction that people have, and without training, you don't really know how you're going to respond to that. So that's one of the reasons why military forces do an enormous amount of training about that. Because it's one thing to contemplate going in and doing something, and it's quite another when somebody starts shooting at you.
Yep.
So it's we don't have any information yet that actually aligns with any particular theory. So everything right now is just speculation. But it would be tragic if the guy was completely innocent and just happened to be carrying his AK home or something.
Ostensibly, and
all right, we do now have a I don't think I'm going to be able to get the video up, but I will be able to get the audio up, and we're going to listen in. We will be listening to the Secret Service and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. They're going to make a joint statement on this. They do have the suspect in custody. So we hope that this will give some clarity as to why he was on the grounds with that weapon. We also have gotten a statement from Trump. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but it was, you know, I will endure, I will survive. Thank you all for loving me. When I find it
Just
again,
raised. I have to raise fist.
Yeah, just this is being called an assassination attempt by Fox News. We did say it was an assassination attempt in our title as we went live. That's because based on the information we had at the time, that's what had been reported by CNN. CNN has now backed off of that. They said that the man approached the Secret Service. He may actually have approached the Secret Service, but we're not sure that he intended to, believe it or not. We don't know what his intentions were. We do know the second he was fired at, he appeared to drop his weapon, turn, and run. So he was in the vicinity of the president. He was armed with an extraordinarily dangerous rifle, and the Secret Service did engage him. Obviously, assassination is the first thing any of us are going to think of, but it would be stranger things have happened, and I think we've come up with a couple of legitimate reasons that he may have not even been aware that Trump was there. He may also have been.
Have we absolutely discounted the possibility that this might be a Haitian hunting family pets?
Well, you know, there are lots of geese and ducks and
Not mine.
ponds
Lauren
and water
calls it that,
traps.
but it's too good not to share.
All right, hold on. So according to
maybe it was
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say maybe it was the there's an AK platform shotgun. It's called a 𝐍𝐤𝐜𝐜𝐬. Maybe it's a semi-automatic shotgun that's magazine fed, so it looks very, very similar to an AK-47, but it's a shotgun, 12-gauge shotgun. Maybe he was in there looking for geese and ducks, and didn't know the president was there.
Well,
Could
and
just
here's
be a
the
big
interesting
misunderstanding.
Here's the interesting point, and that's why I asked about the long gun earlier. One site called it a long gun, which means they weren't willing to call it an AK-47. Another site just called it an AK-style weapon. So they've walked it back from what we first heard. And we're just getting this in now. Apparently, according to Macmillan Military Times, this was a Haitian immigrant. He was looking for cats and other canine associated, what does that even mean? Animals, and he was planning on making a stew.
Lunch
that
supplements.
is the Macmillan Times.
Lunch supplements.
Lunch supplements, exactly. So, what I'm going to do is do one more rundown, and then we'll talk about where we stand. When this started, CNN was the first one. Actually, did I get it from CNN? We got it from CNN first. And the first thing that CNN had said was that a man with an AK-47 had been shot dead as he approached the President of the United States, and he was shot by Secret Service. We have since learned that that is not accurate. To the best of our ability to determine by this point, what is accurate is that a man had breached the perimeter. Stand by one, and we are getting... Okay, the briefing will start any second. I will interrupt myself for the briefing once it starts. Okay. Breached the perimeter. We don't know entirely what that means. It looks like what they meant by it is the perimeter of whatever the security perimeter is of the former president. It may just be that he had just stepped on the golf course. I mean, quite frankly, if I was Secret Service and Trump was on the golf course and somebody stepped on that golf course armed with that kind of weapon, I'd shoot at him. So either way, he entered the perimeter. The Secret Service fired. He dropped the weapon, turned, ran, got into an SUV, and took off. He was promptly, the SUV was found. The police quickly found him. He has now been detained. My suspicion is the police have a couple of questions for him. Just a guess. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer or police officer, but I think they're going to want to talk to him. If this was an accident, oh my God, is he going to have a story to tell the wife? He's probably, it's an open carry state, so he was going around with it. Now his wife is like, he'd better have a good excuse for being late. Let's see. And then, okay, yeah. So what we are waiting for now is a joint press conference from the Secret Service and the Sheriff's Office. They are working on this together. It was the Sheriff's Office, in fact, I think that actually nailed him. They just sent out an APB and just looked for the van and got him pretty quick. Let's see. All right. Service has confronted him. Sorry for this. I just. All right. There is action around the podium, and when the Secret Service and the Sheriff's Office is prepared, actually, someone's speaking now. I don't think he's official. No, it's not. They're not ready to go yet. I could probably, since we've got a moment, I could actually probably get this in a window if we really needed it. But anyways, so there you go. It's always fun when we do one of these things and absolutely no notice. Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. Oh, and from Fox 35 Orlando. Thank you, Dorito. That is helpful. I did catch it. If I'd caught that sooner, I would have used that. That may be a better stream to use. Thank you for that. Let me just check that out. That is going to be a better stream to use. So I'm going to thank you for that. Okay, so they are preparing to go live with that.
Okay. That's pretty sad, but I know how to do that.
Yep, they're still setting up. They just did a sound check and they're getting ready for now. Is that?
It shows experience.
So, yep, that's it. Well, it's nice to see the government officials are taking this seriously. All right, I'm going to check the live chat and see if anybody has had anything that we've missed that they wanted to say. Meanwhile, do either of you gentlemen have anything that you wanted to, now that we've had a moment to slow down and process this, any thoughts from either of you?
Sure. I'll venture down conspiracy theory lane and just say that when you take into consideration the previous attempt and how botched everything was, both in the protective services and the actual execution of that incident, and then this one, it's one of those situations where you kind of go, something smell funny to you about this? I'm not saying false flag or staged or whatever. It just, when you put two and two together, it just kind of makes you wonder, why is it adding up to 7?
Well, that was kind of my point about the, it's rare to get even a single attempt, and if this is an attempt, it would be 2 in a very short period of time. Now, he is a divisive figure. What I find...
Granted.
What?
I said granted, yes.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the first one was actually by someone who was a former Republican. And I think one of the issues is that in some cases, as we've talked about repeatedly on the show, he actually upsets them more than liberals by some, because they get painted with the brush of him. Before I go any further, UTV and Ham, KD9W has gifted one in-time news membership. Thank you so much for your gift. You've been very supportive for quite some time, and we appreciate it. Normally I spend a little more time on those, but right now we're going to try to keep up with the information that's coming in. All of a sudden, information seems to have gotten pretty locked down, and I don't think that that's deliberate per se. I think what's happening is everybody knows that there's about to be a conference, so nobody wants to say, okay, this was the greatest, or sorry, the most thoughtful, most planned out assassination attempt in history, and oh, what, he was going out for Doritos? Never mind. So nobody wants to get egg on their face, so I think a lot of the sources that we've had that were giving us a lot of information have stopped. So I think everybody's just waiting on this press conference. I can see the press conference from here. They are setting up. But other than that, I think that's what's going on. I agree with you. This is going to be, no matter what they say, Fox is going to run assassination attempt for weeks. Yeah. So,
well, this is one of the drawbacks to being on top of breaking news. You know, when events usually begin, you're going to get a lot of conflicting stories. You're going to get a lot of conflicting information. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. You know, only time's going to figure out those details. So when you first start, there is a hell of a lot of speculation involved with.
And to some extent, he who screams the loudest gets to dictate the narrative.
Or who gets in their narrative first and can get it out there widespread.
Exactly.
Yep. And so what I'm going to do, well, we've kind of got this lull. I appreciate everybody who's here. This is what we do. We've been down for a little while, so this is only our second or third breaking news in quite some time. But one of the things that we do is we go through all the sources, everything. And we try to figure out what we can guesstimate about, what's real, what's not real, and we walk back when we don't, and you get to watch us actually digest the process. One of the things I've been most proud of is that people learn to see how to break down the news as it's happening. So join us on the Discord if you're not there yet, and you can watch us do this on the Discord, because it's a thing it's a sight to behold when we go live and all this stuff is getting dropped. And you can help us on our other shows just by sitting here and you know, if there's something you want to talk about, put it in the Discord. We're driven very much by the community. I think I was the one who caught this. It's rare that I'm the one who catches the breaking news. Usually it's somebody calls me up and is just like, oh, have you heard that, you know, X, Y, or Z just exploded? I was like, no, I hadn't heard that yet. So, and we get demonetized all the time because we say and do things that YouTube doesn't want us to do. We are not child friendly. We have done a lot of Ukraine episodes that were very difficult for everybody. More than half our shows are demonetized. So we wouldn't function without you guys. So first of all, those of you chatting, just chatting and having a good time in the chat actually helps us out, because yep, they read that. How many people are talking in the chat? The like and subscribe button really help us out too. Blonde Bombsheller just gifted one in-time membership. Huge help. That really helps us out a lot. Thank you very, very much. So yes, really, they do. I see on the back, like, what was the average chat rate? And it means a lot, because the higher you go up in the algorithm, the more they promote your stuff. We are very low in the algorithm right now because we have been down for about a year. We've been very high in the algorithm, and we can tell the difference. It's like, even if you're high in the algorithm without any work, you're getting 10 new subs a day. Even on days you're not airing anything. If you're low on the algorithm, you can air a show every day and you'll get maybe one or two subs. It's you know, and that's why all of us YouTubers are like, please hit the like button. Would you please hit the, if I said it with a British accent, would you hit the like button? And usually that doesn't help. I'm trying to do all over, you know. Please, sir, may I have a like?
That sounded a lot more East Indian than it did British.
And just as they're getting ready to do this, the video cuts
Always
off.
talk about ahead of time. We are going to give you, when I say we have a representative from the FBI, from the Secret Service, from the state attorney's office, we are going to give you everything we have. Everything. All right? So when we get done, think about your questions, because we're not going to take a lot. And keep them to the information that you heard. Don't
is there an
get into
echo, or
what
is
ifs,
this good?
And because of this,
Can the live chat hear
we're
this?
not going to go there, all right? So keep that in mind, and we'll be good. So here we go. All right, 1:30 this afternoon. Call came out, shots fired. That was called in by the Secret Service. Because we're in constant contact with them all the time, we were notified of that, and we had units here that immediately sealed off the area. Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag, which was great. So we had that information. Our real-time crime center put it out to the license plate readers. And we were able to get a hit on that vehicle on I-95 as it was headed into Martin County. We got a hold of Martin County Sheriff's Office, alerted them, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over and detained the guy. After that, we took the victim, the witness that witnessed the incident, flew him up there, and he identified as the person that he saw running out of the bushes and jumped into the car. Now, in the bushes where this guy was is an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of. So those are being processed right now. The Secret Service agent that was on the course did a fantastic job. What they do is they have an agent that jumps one hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off. So that's what we know about the investigation. We have somebody in custody right now that is a potential suspect. We got a little bit more work to do on it, but as we usually do, as soon as we decide that we're going to book him into the county jail and the charges that he's going to be booked into, we'll get those to you and we'll get a picture of him and we'll get you his background.
Sorry, I have to pause. We have a little more work to do. You fucking think?
Just a scooch.
What
So
what
now
else
I'm
was in
gonna
his?
turn it over.
Ceramic tile and a
Yeah.
GoPro.
Ceramic tile and a GoPro. Okay.
The GoPro I can get, but 2 backpacks, including at least one full of, and possibly both containing some ceramic tile.
And there was a scope on the rifle. Bregman just said, was the tile for the perfect cover-up? Just okay.
Yeah, and just to make note, a scope is not a normal item of kit for an AK-47.
Yeah, it's actually incredibly difficult to mount a scope on an AK-47
Yeah.
because of the way the upper receiver is designed. They do make mounts for it that mount on the side. It's just any kind of optic is a really unusual thing to put on a AK-47. So them saying an AK-47 style, I'm thinking anything in an AK style though has got that same problem with the upper receiver. So
AK-74, AKM, whatever, they're all kind of the same.
I do want to get back to this thing as quickly as possible. The one quick thing, though, Titan observed, could you use the ceramic tile to steady your elbow or as a mount of some kind? I wouldn't think so, because as soon as you start shooting, the tiles might slide out.
Yeah.
The only thing that came to my mind is they make ceramic plates for ballistic plates. They make some that have ceramic tiles inside of them. And so I don't know how.
Maybe he mistook. I mean, okay, let's do like the Keystone.
We're dealing with Florida.
Yeah, we're dealing. So
Florida man strikes again.
He's heard of ceramic
tile, bathroom tile.
armor.
It's all the same.
Well, he's heard of ceramic armor, so he just goes to like Bed Bath and Beyond and says, "Could I get a whole bunch of tile?" And he just like plasters himself with the thing. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna go back to the conference here.
To the representative of the Secret Service, and he's going to make a brief statement.
Sure, it'll be brief
Good
at this
afternoon,
point.
everyone. I first want to thank all of our law enforcement partners, to include the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office and the Martin County Sheriff's Office, for their involvement today. Former President Donald Trump is safe and unharmed following a protective incident shortly before 2 p.m. on Sunday at Trump International Golf Club at West Palm Beach. The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line, and this matter is under investigation. I'll turn it over to my partners over at the FBI.
This has been very helpful.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Veltri. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Miami Field Office. The FBI has assumed the role as the lead federal law enforcement agency in the investigation of the incident that occurred earlier today at Trump International Golf Course here in West Palm Beach, Florida. We've deployed a number of resources, including investigative teams, crisis response team members, bomb technicians, and evidence response team members as well. What we need right now is for the public to avoid the area around the golf course. We will continue to support this investigation with the full resources of the FBI, alongside our partners with the United States Secret Service and the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, as well as Martin County Sheriff's Office and state and local law enforcement. I would ask that if anyone has any information that may assist with this investigation, to contact our tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI or at tips, that's TIPS .FBI.gov. Thank you.
That's odd.
Hi, I'm Dave Ehrenberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County. I want to thank Sheriff Bradshaw and our partners at the local, state, and federal levels. I'm here because our prosecutors are currently working up warrants and a motion for pretrial detention for the suspect. In that way, he will be kept in custody. But our filing of these warrants and charges at the state level does not preclude federal charges that could be coming. But in the meantime, it looks like the warrants and the pretrial detention motion will happen first. And again, I want to thank the cooperation we've had with our federal partners and at the local level. And thank you all for being here today.
Okay, we're going to make these pictures available to you. It'll show you a picture of the backpack and the rifle. And there's also a GoPro on the fence there where he was intent on filming what was going on. Even though we're going to have to secure a couple of areas around the golf course here, the public doesn't need to panic. We know that we got a post office, a library, and a school down the street. So we'll make it convenient for you to get to all the places you need to go, get your kids to school, get them over here to the post office or wherever else you need to go. It's safe. There's no more danger here, and we'll make it very convenient for you. So having said that, we're going to take a very limited amount of questions.
Pause it for 1 minute. Yeah, sorry, we only have audio at this point. We were not prepared for live, so all I can get you easily is audio. Okay. It sounds like what they're saying is the GoPro was not in the backpack. It was actually out and mounted on the fence to observe what was happening. So it looks like he was intending on action of some kind being engaged at that moment, is what it sounds like. They're also saying that they're going to issuing warrants. I would do that no matter what if I was them. So even if it turns out, even if it's credible and he says, whoa, I was just walking home, and even if that's credible, even if they had nothing else, I would issue a warrant for his home anyway, and just to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. So we can't read too much into that, but the fact that they're making announcements about it suggests to me that they're thinking there's something more here than just an accidental thing. Also asking for tips. If they thought that this credibly was the end of it, again, I'd still do the warrants. I'd still do all the follow-up. I would not be asking for tips. The fact that they are asking for tips it suggests to me that they strongly suspect that there is more to this than just accidental. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts? And then we'll get back to the conference.
I would agree with you. I think asking for tips shows that they think there may be more to us than is immediately evident, or possibly that they're as confused about what the hell is going on as we are. And so they just want any information they can get to try to sort this out.
Well, didn't the guy, I believe it was the FBI guy, specifically say that the Secret Service went to the next hole, was maintaining a security one hole ahead of the former president, and then he spotted, and he spotted a barrel sticking out of the bushes, and that's
and if
what
the GoPro
caused him
was
to
already
engage.
That's right.
So that to me sounds like somebody was sitting in wait for the former president to come in, and that he was going to, record the apparent assassination. That's just the description leads me to believe that's what went on.
Then he was either going to hide behind.
Because my interpretation is it was the same guy, and he was at least getting ready at that hole, as presumably one hole in advance where they were currently playing. I don't think it's indicative of a second party involved here. But statements were vague enough that you don't know.
Okay, I think I maybe misunderstood. So it sounds like the Secret Service sent a man in advance, on one hole in advance, probably just to scout it. And in the process of scouting it, he saw the barrel sticking through the bushes. The GoPro was already set up. So that strikes me as very strongly indicative of this. He was waiting for Trump to get to the hole. And once he got there, that's what it sounded like to me when he said that they noticed a barrel sticking out of the bushes and engaged at that point. Yep. All right. I despite the lack of what they've been telling us, I think this is coalescing around an assassination attempt. Let's continue.
And you can direct them to who you want to answer the question.
Sure. Did this individual make any statements as he was being detained?
No statement right now as far as his involvement in the incident, and there's further investigation to be completed.
What was his demeanor?
Okay, if he's made no statements, that means this was not an accident. If this had been an accident, it would have said, whoa, I was just out going for Doritos. So the fact that he's made no statement means he hasn't given a defense. So I think this is even more. I did see one. We haven't seen his mugshot yet, so I think we can also infer he's probably white.
I'm not sure if maybe the Secret Service gentleman answered. I misunderstood, or I couldn't quite understand. So there was a rifle. So one of your agents on the golf course saw a rifle pointing to a fence with a chain link. Okay, so he saw that, the agent?
That is correct, yes.
And the president or the former president was on the course behind him. How close?
It was 1 or 2 holes behind.
1 or 2.
That because the bubble moves through the.
There is a thank you. I was about to ask. Thank you for dropping that. So we do have a picture. Let me get that up. It's going to take me a second to get it up. We've got a picture of what this looked like, and I'll continue this, and I'll show you. I'll give you guys a picture in a minute.
Golf course. So our agents will get there first, clear it. He noticed that the rifle was pointed out. Our agents engaged. We are not sure right now if the individual was able to take a shot at our agents. But for sure, our agents were able to engage with the subject.
This is the scene that they found. The rifle was there. The ceramic tiles, and you can see the GoPro there on the left. So the GoPro was set up already, mounted to record him. He was aiming from that position to out towards the hole, which is where he was detected by Secret Service, and after he was fired upon, he fled. And as you heard, they just said that they didn't know. So the ceramic tiles, I don't know. I think Titans call is as good as any. Yeah, Lance, we don't. You know what? He's probably sitting there going like, they'll probably kill me. I want to just screw with their heads. What could I? Ceramic tile. They're going to be sitting there like years later trying to figure out what he's doing with the ceramic tile. But all right, let's continue. I think we're going to continue.
I don't know that.
Doesn't appear so.
Is there a vote?
Yep. Al?
How far away was the president? How far away was Donald Trump when this gentleman was caught and stopped?
I got it. Probably between 300 and 500 yards, but with a rifle and a scope like that, that's not a long distance.
For the Secret Service, how far was your agent from the would-be assailant?
That I'm not sure right now. We're still looking into it.
Reports are that 4 rounds of ammunition were fired. Were all 4 of those from your agent?
That is correct. 4 to 6. We're not sure yet.
Was there a long distance? Explaining why?
Yes.
And
Yes,
kind
ma'am.
of then WPF 25, I was wondering what how this was able to happen, and for future reference, is there any security in the golf course?
I didn't hear all that. Say that one more time and talk up a little bit.
So how was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any security in the golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery, so when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right, and at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around him. Well, because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
Which direction was the shrubbery where he was? North, south? I guess east, west, or south is the road?
The layout of the golf course, you've got 3 holes, 5, 6, and 7. Right? One of them runs parallel to Summit Boulevard. One of them runs parallel to Congress. And he was in an area in the shrubbery where he could see both holes. So the president was another hole back, which means he's about between 400 and 500 yards away.
So he was on the golf course?
Oh, he's on the golf course, yeah, but he's back a ways.
For the Secret Service, have you guys changed at all the way that you guys are protecting former President Donald Trump? This is now potential second attempt on him. Can you just elaborate on how things have changed and what you make of all this?
Yes, the threat level is high. We have increased the amount of assets that we've supported, so we live in danger times. So yes.
We're done with questions right now. There's really nothing more for us to add. I just want to tell you, the Secret Service and the FBI.
He wasn't kidding when he said it was going to be short. We have one unconfirmed report that the FBI has confirmed that it was an assassination attempt. We haven't been able to confirm that yet, but I've got to tell you, it's looking more and more like that. The more evidence that I see. So, any thoughts?
After everything that they just said, it definitely, and the picture of the area where they found him, it's all leading me to believe that it was an intended assassination attempt.
Yeah, that gets us back to what you call an assassination attempt. I mean, I'd say it was an assassination attempt. He just didn't get a chance to pull the trigger. Now at 400 meters. Sorry. Now this was, I guess, it was the carbine version of the AK-47 with the scope. Lance,
the AK-47 is already a carbine. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Shows you how much I know about guns. I can't hear you. You are muted. I think you muted yourself a second ago. So, Lance is learning.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You're learning to host
Okay.
like any other in-time host. You're just your level of professionalism
Now,
is just raised.
The problem
2 hours.
is my microphone symbol has all sorts of weird stuff that's on it after I fiddled with it to get this up, and I can't tell whether I'm good or not. Anyway, the AK, yes, AK means carbine, but they do make shortened versions of the AKs for vehicle crews. The thing is that with any carbine type weapon, when you shorten the barrel like that, it means long-range shots become less accurate.
And
so if you're trying to engage a target out at 400 meters.
Yeah, I mean, the AK-47 standard, legal, just go down and buy one at the gun store, is going to have a 16-inch barrel because that's required by U.S. law. So with a 16-inch barrel, the AK-47, 300 to 500 yards, that is the maximum effective range of an AK. Mostly not because of the cartridge itself, though the cartridge is an intermediate cartridge, intermediate powered cartridge. It's a 30 caliber bullet, but the accuracy drops after 300 yards because it's just not as a precision made. It was made to be, it was designed to be mass produced quickly and be very reliable. It's got some accuracy issues at longer ranges. So, at 300 to 500 yards, you still don't want somebody shooting at you, but it's going to be even with a scope, because of the design of the platform itself, it's still going to be very difficult to hit anything at those ranges.
Well, and just keep in mind, the reason I'm asking is because, Trump presumably was going to get a lot closer. The question is, did the guy ever have a credible chance of hitting Trump if he had gotten impatient or if he had realized he was under fire and then just instead of returning fire, fired at Trump, which he may not even have had a clear line of sight to yet. Trump was still a hole away. So this was the next hole that would have been, I have to believe, bridged them at least probably 100, maybe 200 yards closer. So we're not talking what he was anticipating, just where he was at the time, because that question had been about, really, the essence, the reason she asked that question was she wanted to know, was he ever in any danger? And it looks like the answer is no, but he was probably seconds away from, is what it sounds like to me, if he got much closer.
Not in immediate danger, but potentially in danger had this progressed significantly further along the usual golf course.
And I guess the point of maybe the AK-47 is if he were in the optimal range, then you don't have to be all that accurate because you're going to be spraying so much ammunition. Is that accurate, or am I showing once again my ignorance on the?
You're assuming it's capable of full auto fire,
which would have to be modified, right? Because legally.
Typically, you can't legally buy it without special permits as a full auto. Doesn't mean you can't adapt it into that.
Yeah, and accuracy, you can look at, there's been several police-involved shootings where police will shoot ungodly amounts of ammunition and never hit a single soul. Granted, that's usually out of pistols, notoriously inaccurate. At the ranges that he was at, he could have lobbed bullets. The bullets would have absolutely gotten to where the distance to where the president was, and if hit with one of them, would definitely sustain life-threatening wounds. It's just, can you actually place the bullets where you want them to go? And at those ranges, that's really difficult. But if he could get in closer to, say, under 200 yards, anybody with a modicum of training with a rifle can hit targets 100, 200 yards very easily.
All right. So here's what I think we're going to do. We're going to do comments in the okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a quick rundown of what we've got, and I'll get quickly any final comments from you gentlemen, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. Obviously, there's going to be more, but I think at this point we have a pretty good, we've fleshed this out. It's taken an hour, but I think we've fleshed this out. So at around 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, an advance man from the Secret Service was a hole ahead of Donald Trump where he was playing golf at his golf course and spotted the barrel of what appears to be an AK-47 style weapon protruding from the bushes. He immediately engaged, fired 4 shots. There were reports of between 4 and 6 shots total fired. Because shots will echo off of buildings, it's very hard to tell how many were fired. If it was 6, the 2 others would have been from that suspect. The Secret Service has confirmed that they fired no more than 4 shots. We don't know how many shots were fired in total. Nonetheless, the person dropped the rifle, hopped the fence, got into his vehicle, and drove away. Somebody got a picture of his vehicle. They immediately put out an APB on it. They apprehended him very quickly. He has been arrested and is detained and has not made any statements to police. At this point, given the fact that he set up a GoPro to look at, to watch him as he did this, and he had the weapon, and that it was at the next hole that the president was going to, former president, we do believe it's credible to say that this was, in fact, an assassination attempt on him. We're obviously going to learn more. There was at least 4 shots fired. There may have even been an exchange of fire, multiple reports, we don't know yet. Having said that, it looks like the president would have been in significant danger if he had gotten any further on the golf course before this man had been found, but as it is, it looks like the Secret Service was able to take care of it, and the man is now in custody, and that is what has happened. Gentlemen, anything to add before we go?
Nope. I think you did a great summary there.
Thank you.
I am curious what firearm the Secret Service agent was carrying with him. And I could see an advanced team going ahead to check for danger, carrying an AR with them. But if this was just a kind of standard Secret Service guy wandering ahead, scoping everything out, armed with just a pistol, that guy should probably get a medal, because a pistol versus a rifle at those kinds of ranges, the rifle wins almost every time, because it's very easy to hit targets at that range, be very accurate with a target with a rifle, versus pistols. Once you get past 50 yards, it is incredibly difficult to hit something with your pistol at ranges greater than that. So the fact that they exchanged, or the fact that he engaged that target, is pretty impressive. If all he had was a pistol. I mean, granted, that's his job and he's supposed to do that, but the fact that the guy essentially dropped his gun and ran, I don't think that's a very high, either a high caliber of person or somebody with a high amount of conviction to carry through, because depending upon the, again, the weapons that the Secret Service was carrying with them, he had could potentially have had a pretty strong advantage in that engagement.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful weapon. All right, well, thank you all for joining us once again. Please do hit like and subscribe. We would appreciate it. Always helps. And we look forward to seeing you on either our next breaking news or our next scheduled downtime, whichever comes first. Thank you all again for joining us, and we will see you soon. Good night all.